Okay, guys, so welcome back. So previously, we're looking at this question, question 10, talking about how new rules should be brought into the football game from the bottom and how it aims to improve football upwards. But hopefully, guys, that question has made a lot of sense. Now, guys, we're going to move on to the next question, which is question 13. So let's read this together. It says, in many countries, shocking images of the damage smoking can do to the body are displayed on cigarette packets. Imaging of rotting teeth, mouth tumors, and cancerous lungs are among the grim pictures. The review concluded that shocking pictures of the damage smoking can do are a cost-effective way to help smokers to quit and discourage others from starting. All countries should introduce these kind of images to discourage smoking. Which of the following two most weakens the above argument? Okay, guys, so pause the video. Give yourself about a minute 50. That's what we were aiming for, isn't it? That's the amount of time you're given per question in section 1 of the BMAT. And be sure to be back after that where we're going to be going through the solutions. Okay, guys, so welcome back. So now let's go through it. So let's read this together. So it says, in many countries, shocking images of the damage smoking can do to the body are displayed on cigarette packets. That's just clear fact, isn't it? Just saying what he observes about what's going on in this area. So we can just line that off. Then it says, images of rotting teeth, mouth tumors, and cancerous lungs are among the grim pictures. Again, just observation. So just simple facts. So you can just cross this out. Good. And it says, a review concluded that shocking pictures of the damage smoking can do are a cost-effective way of to help smokers to quit and discourage others from starting. So a review, a study, or research. This is along the same lines. This is all going to be fact. Okay, so that's that. This is all just facts. We can cross this all out. And this all countries should introduce these kinds of images to discourage smoking. So this is a standard passage, guys, where you have a bunch of reasons at the start and then your conclusion at the end. And the reason we really know this is not even an opinion, this is a strong opinion because it says it should. It's demanding you to do something, and that's how we know it's really going to be the main conclusion of the paragraph. So basically, the conclusion is that we should be doing this kind of thing of putting bad images of smoking to discourage people. So which one's going to weaken that? Which one's going to suggest that this isn't going to work, basically? So pictures that arouse emotions are especially effective. So that one is actually going to strengthen it, because if the pictures are, if these pictures are bringing about emotions, are effective, that's going to mean this is a good way to encourage people to stop smoking. So that one's actually going to strengthen it. So it can't be this one. Next one: smokers are likely to die younger than non-smokers. So this in itself doesn't really blend in much with the passage. But either way, probably even strengthen it, to be honest, because if we know that smokers die younger, that's actually going to discourage people. But either way, I think this is not really relevant to the passage, so you can just cross this out. It says the USA is planning to display shocking images on cigarette packets. Yeah, again, this one, yeah, the USA is planning to do that, but we don't know if that's effective or if it's not effective. So this one's kind of just random, so we can cross this out. It's kind of like B. So this is the government receives a significant amount of revenue from taxes on tobacco products. Yeah, so the government. So if the government's receiving, this would suggest that maybe it could suggest that it's not such a good thing to discourage smoking. It's actually good to encourage it in terms of government revenue. So in a way, it kind of weakens it, but we're looking for the one that weakens it the most. So I'm just gonna, whoops. Let's just minimize that again. Yeah, so I'm just going to put this down in for review, so that the screen is acting really weird. And then lastly, it says in countries using the images, there are high taxes on tobacco and a ban on advertising. Yeah, this one I actually really like, because what it's trying to say, over here is that they're using, in countries using, there are high taxes on tobacco and a ban on advertising. So this would actually suggest that it might not actually be the images which are causing in these countries the lowering of the rates of smoking, but it might actually be the high taxes and the ban on advertising. So this is why I really like E, and I really like it better than D even. Because D, yes, it could weaken it, but it's not really tied in with this idea of bad images and stuff like that of smoking. But E is, remember, we're looking for two things: which one weakens it and which one's with the context of the argument. And I think E does that much better than D. Hence why I'm going to go for E. So hopefully, guys, that question has made a lot of sense. And yes, as always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video. All right, guys. So previously you looked at this question to do with bad images of smoking and how that's a good idea to discourage people from smoking. This is a pretty standard question, and I hope many of you guys actually at this point have managed to get this question correct. But either way, guys, if you didn't get it correct, don't worry. It's all a learning process, and there's many more questions for you to practice from. But now, guys, without further ado, we're going to move on to the next set of questions from IMAT 2013. And the first question, strength and weaken question, was question 2. So let's read it together. It says, any company that wishes to sell a new drug must provide the government with details of research about its safety and possible side effects. At present, this information is confidential, but there are plans to make it available to the public. While patients are surely entitled to more information about the drugs that are prescribed, they will also inevitably make public vital details about the ingredients of certain drugs and how they are manufactured. Drug companies are naturally reluctant to release this information to their competitors. Therefore, through fear of imitators, drug companies will no longer introduce new and important drugs into the country. Which of the following is true would most weaken the above argument? So guys, pause the video, give yourself a minute, just over a minute, be sure to be back after that, and then we'll be going through the solution. Okay guys, welcome back. So let's go through this. So it says, any company that wishes to sell a new drug must provide the government with details of research about the safety and possible side effects. So he's just literally stating what the current rules are, isn't it, regarding selling drugs, more or less. So we can just cross this out all as fact. Right, so straightforward so far. And it says, at present, this information is confidential, but there are plans to make it available to the public. Again, just observation. So this is all going to be factual. Good. It says, while patients are surely entitled to more information about the drugs they are prescribed, this would also inevitably make public vital details about the ingredients of certain drugs and how they are manufactured. Yeah, so this one you might think is a weak opinion, but I'll probably sway more to the fact size. And even if you think it's an opinion, it's going to be super weak. So I'm just going to cross this out. So that's all of this. And then it says, drug companies are naturally reluctant to release this to their competitors. Again, this is just factual, isn't it? So we can just cross this out. And it says, therefore, so with just reading that, guys, that tells me the next sentence is going to be the conclusion, because it's going to be of the type where you give it a bunch of reason and evidence at the start. Therefore, this is my conclusion. Therefore, to fear drug companies will no longer introduce new and important drugs into the country. Yeah, so that's basically going to be our conclusion. So basically, the conclusion of this passage is that if the rules are changed to allow patients to have information about what's going into their drugs and stuff like that, there'll no longer be new and important drugs being introduced, more or less. That's going to be the conclusion. So which one's going to suggest that even if this happens, there still would be new drugs, basically, right? So there are sufficient drugs already on the market, so there is no necessity to introduce new ones. So there are sufficient drugs already on the market, and so there's no necessity to introduce new ones. Yeah. So if there's no necessity to introduce new ones, this would probably strengthen his idea, isn't it? Because this would say that this would strengthen his idea, because it's basically saying that there's not going to be new and important drugs being introduced due to the fact, in this case, that there is already enough drugs on the market. But either way, it's kind of out of the context of the argument. But so we're just going to cross this out anyway. Then the next one, the drug industry is a very competitive business, and secrecy is vital if companies are to survive. Yeah, that one actually strengthens it, isn't it? Because it strengthens the idea that there's a huge competition in drug companies. I think it referred to that somewhere over there. So this one's actually going to strengthen it. People may be reluctant to use certain drugs when they have fuller information about them. People may be reluctant to use. Yeah, so this one, this one would, I guess, yeah, this one would actually, I guess, this one, I guess, would strengthen the argument in a way, but it's kind of out of context, because what it's trying to say is that with this extra information, people won't use it, and this is kind of going further. This might mean that there's low demand, and therefore, if there's low demand, there might no longer be new drugs that way. But either way, remember, guys, I'm kind of overthinking the problem even just by doing that. And either way, it's not really in the context of the argument. So I'm just going to cross this out anyway. And then it says, people are better informed about side effects of drugs abroad than they are in this country. Yeah, that's just really quite irrelevant, isn't it? It's not really in the context of this argument. So that's why I don't like this one. Let's go to the last one. Strong patent laws prevent companies from using the information to create rival drugs. This one's really good because what he's trying to say is that there's already laws out there to prevent people from copying each other. So what he's trying to say here that if you give this information, it's going to lead to people copying each other. Because of the laws, this isn't going to happen. So that basically nullifies his argument completely. So this is why E is definitely in this case going to be the correct answer. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. Hopefully, you're getting better at identifying conclusions and taking it the next step, which is finding which statements strengthen and weaken. Again, guys, we really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, guys, so previously we looked at this question to do with releasing information about drugs to patients and how this is not good in terms of competition. But hopefully, guys, this question has made a lot of sense. Now, guys, we move on to the next set of questions in IMAT 2012. And this is the question we were faced with, question 19. So let's read this again. It says, rating figures for music are now much more difficult to calculate compared to a decade ago. The introduction of new formats for selling music means that figures have to be calculated based on more methods such as downloads in addition to the sales of CDs in shops. Additionally, the availability of more formats means that there is more potential for copies of works to be shared with other fans who do not pay for them. These fans do not show up in the ratings, so the official ratings do not reflect the relative popularity of a work. So which of the following are true would more strengthen the above argument? So guys, pause the video, give yourself just over a minute. You should be back after that. We're going to go over the solutions. Okay, guys, welcome back. So let's go through this. The rating figures for music are now much more difficult to calculate compared to a decade ago. So this is clearly his opinion. I might not think the same way. So this is going to be his opinion. Right, so already you're probably getting the idea that it's more of the one where he's saying his opinion at the start, and then he's just going to give a bunch of reasons that follow. So then it says, the introduction of new formats for selling means that the figures have to be calculated based on more methods such as download in addition to sales. So that's clearly just fact, observation. So we can just line this all out. And then it says, additionally, the availability of more formats means that there's more potential for copies of works to be shared with other fans who do not pay for them. Again, just fact. So we can just cross this out. And then it says, these fans do not show up in the rate, so the official rate do not reflect the relative popularity of a work. Again, this is just observation slash fact. So that's that. So basically, the conclusion, as we identified at the start, was basically the rating figures for music, you can't really use them anymore. Basically, they're really difficult to understand compared to what they were before. And we want to find what strengthens this one. So what would suggest basically they are difficult to comprehend nowadays. So the calculation of ratings based on downloads and sales together is not difficult. So that one is basically just the contrary of what we just said. That would actually weaken the argument. So it can't be that one. Sharing copies of purchased work with others is against the law. Kind of irrelevant, random. So that's why I'm going to knock this one out. Artists are not interested in the popularity of their work. Just the sales figures. Again, this is just random, like B, so that's why we're going to cross this one out. So in these kind of questions, guys, you're hopefully spotting that most of the options are going to be random. There will only probably be like two or three which actually strengthen or weaken the argument, and then you have to just select which one most strengthens or most weakens it. Yeah, and then it says the sharing of works with other fans is more widespread. The sharing of works with other fans is more widespread for certain types of music. Yeah, I actually like this one because that would basically mean that the rating figures are not accurate for some of them, but accurate for others. So that's going to add an extra layer of confusion between the figures in it. So this one's good. I like this one. So that's why I'm gonna that's why I'm gonna consider this one. And then it says official ratings have never been reflected. Have never reflected popularity. Official ratings have never reflected popularity very well. So that one, firstly, I think it's kind of random. And let's read that again. Official ratings have never reflected popularity very well. Yeah, even if you think it strengthens it, even if you think it strengthens it, D is, hopefully you can understand, guys, that D much more to the point actually as well, because it's really talking about the context about sharing works with fans. I think it talked about it. It talked about it here, over here, how you could share music with other fans, and that's not put into the statistics. Hope you can see, guys. So D is to the context of the passage, whereas E, yes, it might strengthen it, Yeah, even that I don't really believe it strengthens it much. But on top of that, it's not really to the context of the passage, and that's why I don't really like this one. And therefore, guys, hopefully you can understand then that D would be our winner over here. So hopefully, guys, that has made sense. And as always, we look forward to seeing you in the next video.